welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And joining me as our animal wrangler this week is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And our first guest today is a very new resident. This is Max, and he is one of two puppies that we have on the adoption floor right now. And he's about 9 to 11 months old. He's a pit bull mix. He's a very handsome guy. And don't let his size fool you. He has all puppy left in him. So he's a bigger dog, but he's going to need a little training when you get him home. He's got a lot of energy. So an active family would probably be best for Max. He's not the type, it seems, to sit around and hang out on the couch. He wants to run and play and do all of those types of things. Max will be neutered before he leaves. That's part of your adoption fee. Puppies go home for a fee of $150. That includes that neuter. It includes rabies vaccinations, Bordetella, distemper vaccines, dewormer, flea and tick preventative. It also includes microchipping and microchip registration, as well as a free well visit to the vet once you get him home. So it's a great bargain for the price that you're going to get. We also, medically check all of our animals as well as behavior assess them. Max, as I mentioned, is full of puppy characteristics. So he's a little mouthy. He can pull on his leash a little bit when he gets excited, but he does know sit. He's very gentle when he's mouthy. He just needs somebody to work with him and explain to him that that's not appropriate. Replacing hands and things and leashes with appropriate things like toys. He came in, he was all over the place, but since he's had a little bit of time to settle in, he does mellow out and get a little calmer. He's just very excited to meet new people and see new things. And his previous owner brought him to us because they said that he had too much energy. But they had only owned Max for 1 day. So 1 day is really not long enough for any animal to settle in. It's been, 3 minutes or so, and he's gone from jumping all over Sean to kind of sitting nicely. He still wants to play, but he's not all over him. So it takes him a little while to settle in. Any animal in a new situation, we say it takes about 60 days for those animals to settle in and feel comfortable. So 1 day is definitely not going to be enough for any animal, let alone a high energy dog like Max. But if you're prepared to give him all of the love and attention that he needs and make sure that his exercise and energy needs are met, you can stop in and visit him here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. We are located at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. The next dog that we have for you is actually the last canine guest that we have today. After a large influx of our canine population over the summer, we've settled back down into kind of a normal a number of dogs, and most of those dogs have either been on the show fairly recently or they're actually scheduled to be adopted. So we only have 2 dogs to showcase for you today, and Ellie is the second of those, and she is another puppy, and she's just 4 months old. So she's kind of a blank slate a little bit. She's super cute in how she, has that puppy run to her, and she wants to cuddle and play. She too will be adopted for our puppy adoption fee, which is $150. And both she and Max would be adopted through our puppy process, which means that we would take up to 4 applications for each of them, and then we would ask you some additional questions. Have you ever had a puppy before? Are you familiar with the breed? Kind of what's your training plan? And then we would choose the best fit for the dog. We also encourage you, if you have another dog in your home, to bring your dog in and meet with the shelter dog, because that'll give you an indication of how these animals will get along together. Ellie was brought to us after only being owned for a week. Just again, like Max, that's really not enough time to see how she's going to fit into the house. But they said that she was not getting along with the other dog in the house. So again, that's why it's really important to bring your dog in. It might not always be exactly how it'll be in your home because it's a little different situation. It's not neutral territory, but it'll let you know whether it's something that's definitely not going to work at all or if it's something that you can manage and work towards making a good fit for both of the animals. Because Ellie is so young, at just 4 months old, we didn't do a behavior assessment on her. We typically don't do that until they're about 6 months old. The previous owner said she does know sit and lay down, and that's going to be a great starting point for anybody who's looking to take Ellie and make her part of their family, but she will need additional training to make sure that she's walking on the leash properly and she's knowing how to behave in your home. If you are interested in adding Ellie to your family, we do hope to see you come in and visit her here in the shelter. We have her down as a retriever mix, so she will need somebody that's going to give her, the appropriate amount of exercise and things like that. If you think that you fit that bill and that description, stop in and visit her. You can visit her here at Animal Control. We are open 6 days a week. That's Monday through Saturday. The next guest we're going to showcase is one of our small animals. This is Bean, and Bean is one of approximately 8 rabbits that we have on the adoption floor right now. We have American mixes, which is what Bean is. We also have a lot of lion head mixes. So there's a lot to choose from. We've got them in all different colors, all different sizes. So if you're interested in adding something a little different, a little non-traditional pet to your house, stop in and visit us. In addition to all those rabbits, we also have hamsters. We have several guinea pigs right now. We even have some birds. We always kind of fluctuate in what kind of small animals we have. But it's always a great place to check. It's often a lot cheaper, excuse me, than the pet store, and you're also getting a lot more for your money. We vet check all of our animals before they're placed on the adoption floor, so you know what their current health status is. And we also make sure that our rabbits are spayed and neutered before they leave. So we would have Bean here, spayed before she went home. Our adoption fee for rabbits is $50. So when you're getting a rabbit at a pet store, it might even be $50 or less, but you're not getting that spay, which could be very costly if you're handling that and taking that on for yourself. Bean is about 2 years old, and as I mentioned, she is a American rabbit mix. She was brought to the shelter because there was a new baby in her household, and the baby was allergic to the rabbit. So that family chose to do what most people do is what was best for their child, and brought Bean to us so that we could find Bean another suitable home. She's handled quite frequently in their home. She's used to that, and she actually really enjoys being petted. But she's not always a huge fan of being picked up. Like many animals that come to the shelter, especially the cats and the rabbits, you just kind of sit next to them and pet them. Don't necessarily pick them up, carry them around. Not every one of them likes that. Excuse me. She likes yogurt snacks, she scratches behind her ears. So we give you a profile that the previous owners filled out so that you kind of understand what she likes, what she doesn't like. With rabbits, it really is important to do your research before taking them on. They have different care needs and requirements that are not similar to the dogs and the cats that most people are used to. But again, if you're interested in adding a rabbit to your home, please stop in. We have about 8 that you can choose from. As I mentioned that earlier, our dog population is a little low, but our cat population is quite high right now. So we're going to showcase a few more cats than we traditionally would on the show this week. And first up, we have Licorice, and she's about 9 to 10 months old now. She's been with us about a month, and we're hoping to find her a great new forever home. Right now, our naming convention is kind of Halloween and candy related, so Licorice fits right into that. She was previously owned, however, the owner did not fill out a profile, so we don't really know that much about her, just kind of what we're learning as we get to know her. When she's hanging out in her cage, I've seen her being the playful kitten, running back and forth, but I've also seen her just being really mellow and hanging out. She was a little hesitant to come out of her cage today. A lot of the animals that have been here for a longer period of time get comfortable in their cages and they feel safe there, and they don't really want to come out to a kind of strange place with maybe people they're not always used to interacting with. So she wasn't a fan of coming out today, but she has, while she's a little nervous, she's kind of settling in there. She's not necessarily trying to get away. She's not hiding on Sean's lap like she was when she initially was put onto his lap. So it's just going to take her a little time to warm up to her new situation. When we send animals home, we always recommend that you keep them isolated for 10 days. And that's for a lot of reasons, to prevent the spread of disease, to help the animals heal and recover from their spay and neuter surgeries, to give you an idea of, if they're going to use their litter box and not. But it also gives those animals that are shy, especially, a chance to get used to their new environments. So it's not an overwhelmingly large space. It's an upgrade from their cages here at the shelter, but it's not too much. It gives them a break from interacting with your family. Your families leave, you go to school, you go to work. It gives her some time to be alone and adjust. So it makes that process a lot easier when you're thinking about incorporating them into your family. So if you're interested in adding this beautiful cat to your home, giving her a place to spend the rest of her childhood, which is what we always prefer for our kittens, you can stop in and visit her here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. The last guest we have on this half of the show is George, and George is about a year and a half old. When he's been here since mid-August. He was really shy for quite some time when he first came in. Mostly he would just be sleeping in his bed, not really as outgoing. But it seems that the switch has flipped for George, and he's now used to living in the shelter, and he's become quite the outgoing guy. He didn't want to go into his cage, which is not his carrier, which is not uncommon for most cats. But once he got out, the door opened and he jumped right onto Sean's lap, very curious, looking around, trying to see what's going on, but, interested, but also kind of content to get lots of attention, perfectly happy to be petted. I don't know that I would necessarily say that George is a lap cat, but he has potential because he's not really trying to get down, but he is curious and, kind of antsy, not sitting in one spot. George is another one of those animals that was previously owned, but unfortunately we don't have that information from that owner. So it's just, come in and visit with the animals, spend some time. Some people even come back more than once just to get to know the animals and make sure that it's the right fit for them. We always encourage you to do that, and it's a requirement actually for everyone in the family and everyone in the house to come in and visit. So if you're adopting a cat for you, but you have 2 roommates, your roommates have to come in and make sure that they get along with the cat, that they're not going to have any allergy issues or anything like that. Same thing if you live, say, in your, a basement apartment at your parents' house, your parents have to come in and visit and make sure that that's okay with them as well. We do check with all the landlords to make sure that it's okay for you to have another pet and that specific type of pet, because we want to make sure that George or any other animal that would be adopted out is going to stay in that home and that it's going to be a good fit, and they're not going to end up back here. George is a very handsome guy. He's a classic brown tabby. There are different types of tabby cats. Classic means that he has the kind of circles. So on his sides, he has kind of some zeros there. And that's kind of a good way to help identify your cat if anything were to happen to them. Also, if you have a lost cat, saying a classic tabby instead of just tabby cat gives us some more information when we're looking through the stray animals that come in to see if maybe that's yours. So that's going to wrap it up for this half of the show. Stay tuned, and after the break, we're going to introduce you to 5 more of the adoptable cats that we have available here at Animal Control.
Many volunteer opportunities are available on Frederick County boards and commissions, whether the Commission on Aging, Human Relations Commission, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, Workforce Development Board, or many others. Those desiring to serve must be residents and registered voters of Frederick County. For more information, contact Joyce Grisnickel at 301-600-1102 or by email at fcgboards@frederickcountymd.gov.
welcome back. The first guest that we have for you on this half of the show is actually one of the cats that qualifies for our October promotion. During the month of October, all of the cats that have some orange tones to their fur are going to be adopted for a $20 reduction in their adoption fee. The normal adoption fee for cats and kittens that are adults is $97.50. So this month, all of those adult cats would go home for $77.50. The seniors get their normal senior reductions, but then they would still get that additional $20. Taz qualifies because she is a Torby, which means she has the tortoiseshell coloring, which tends to be the blacks and the tans and the oranges, but then she also has the tabby cat stripes. So she's got the M and all of that, and the orange in her is not as noticeable. It's just little patches, but it's still there, so she qualifies. Taz is about 4 years old, and she was brought in with other animals, so she does get along with other cats. She was brought to us because her owner's husband passed away, and there were a lot of kind of life changes going on, and she was unable to care for all of the animals, so she brought Taz and the others to us so that we could find them additional homes. These guys, while they know each other and are friends, they're not housed together here at the shelter, and they're not required to be adopted together, although there are a large number of people that come in and looking to adopt too. You know, Taz or Sci-Fi, who is going to be on the show next, they kind of are familiar with each other. It might be easier to integrate them if that's what you were looking to do. She's been a little shy here at the shelter, Taz. She has kind of started to adjust and is warming up, coming out from under her bed and her hammock and stuff a little bit more. But as you can see, she's a little uncomfortable out here in a new situation. She's kind of looking for a place to hide and feel more comfortable. So she's one of the ones, like we talked about with Licorice, a little shy, going to take a little bit longer maybe to adjust, would really benefit from that kind of 10-day isolation where she has that quiet space to get to know the smells and sounds of your house. But she's easy to handle. Her previous owner does say that she's a lap cat, although she's a little anxious out here and not wanting to stay. She wants to hide and find someplace safe. It does say that she's afraid of strangers, so making sure that she always has a place to hide if there's going to be a lot of people at your house would really benefit Taz. But if Taz is the type of cat that you're looking for and you think that you have a nice kind of quiet home where she can feel comfortable, stop in and visit with her here, see if you want to move forward with that application process. And this is Sci-Fi, who we mentioned with Taz. Taz and Sci-Fi came in together, so they could be adopted together. They already know each other, but they're not housed together again. We don't have a requirement saying that they're bonded and need to be adopted together. Sci-Fi is a bit younger, at approximately 1 year to 2 years old, and she also qualifies for our October promotion because she's a Torby with white, or a Tortie with white, excuse me. So she has all of the great blacks and oranges and tans mixed in with the white. So she gets that $20 off this month as well. She is a little more outgoing than Taz. She's very friendly. She comes up to the front of her cage. She's very curious. She's independent and able to be held. Unlike Taz, her previous owner's not saying that Sci-Fi here is a lap cat, but she seems pretty content. She's not as anxious, but she's seemingly a little bit more inquisitive. We've got a great picture of her on our website and on our Facebook page. She's kind of jumping up in the picture, so she's very playful, just a little bit different. So all the cats that we have different personalities. Some are more calm and more relaxed. Some are more outgoing and more playful. So depending on what you're looking for, we have something that will probably fit what your ideal cat would be. It's important to understand, however, that how they behave in the shelter is not a 100% indicator of how they'll be when they get home. The shelter can be a scary place for a lot of the animals, so even a shy cat like Taz might be in a new home where she feels comfortable, might be, you know, very playful and running around and maybe acting a little different than you thought she was going to be when you get her home. If you're interested in Sci-Fi, Again, we would encourage you to come in and visit with her. Our visitation, we let you pet them and play with them in the cage. You can hold them near their cage. You can sit in a chair with her on her lap near her cage. And that's kind of how you would get to interact with her and meet with her. Again, with all the animals, everyone that lives in your household has to come in and visit and make sure that Sci-Fi or any other animal will be a good fit for not just one person in the house, but the entire household. Owen is another one of our little pumpkins in the month of October. He is a 3-year-old domestic shorthair. He's an orange tabby. He, again, was owned, no profile. Things that we know about Owen, he kind of keeps to himself in his cage. He likes to hide under his bed, but the volunteers say that once you go to him and you open up his cage, he's very, very sweet, loves the attention. I've seen volunteers sitting with him for a long time. You know, he's perfectly content to just sit and be, you know, loved on and adored by volunteers, and hopefully he would do that with his new family as well. Again, not a fan of going in his cat carrier, but he came out, he kind of settled in a little bit, and while he is interested in getting out and finding some place to kind of hide in a new situation, he's not too terrified. He's, again, one of the ones that might take him a bit to adjust. Here he does kind of like to sleep under his bed in the back of his cage. So because he's on a bottom cage, it makes him easy to miss. But you definitely want to take the time when you're looking for a cat to check in all the cages. Some of the ones that are maybe not as outgoing are maybe some of the cats that would be the best fit for your family. They just aren't as eager to come right to the front of the cage, but they're very sweet, very affectionate, very playful. They just are playing kind of hard to get and want you to work for it a little bit and actually stop and visit with them. And Owen's kind of like that. Owen is one of the many orange cats that we have on the floor right now. It's not just the torties and the torby like we've talked about. We have a lot of the orange tabbies, the darker red tabbies, the lighter orange, and then even the cream and buff colored. So there's a lot to choose from. A lot of people really enjoy and are looking for those colorings, and now is a great time to come into the shelter if that's what you're after. We have seniors that have that kind of coloring all the way down to 3-month-old kittens. So we have a wide range that will fit whatever your ideal pet is going to be. But it is important to visit with them. The great thing about an older cat like Owen is you kind of know what you're going to get. If you're coming in and you're looking at the kittens, their personalities are still forming, so you don't really know what ultimately they're going to be. Whereas Owen's 3 years old, this is who he is. The cat that you get that's a kitten, 3 months from now might be completely different than the behavior that you saw in the shelter, and then at 3 months from then, completely different than what you saw in your house. Baloo is one of the moms that has been in the shelter, and like many of the moms that come in, their kittens get adopted very quickly, and then they're left here, kind of waiting patiently to find their new forever homes as well. Baloo came in with 3 kittens, and 2 of her kittens have already been adopted, and unfortunately one of them has a cold, so he's being treated for that until he gets better, and then he'll come out on the adoption floor and be adopted as well. Baloo is a great black and white. She's very soft, very friendly, still a little unsure of shelter life. She's about 2 years old, so she's still a very young cat. But she is, again, like we talked about with Owen, more established. You kind of have an idea more of what her personality is going to be like. She was brought to the shelter previously owned. The person who owned her has only fantastic things to say about her, but unfortunately, because of some living situations, she was unable to keep her cats, so she brought them to us so that we could find them another home. So she says that Baloo is used to living with other cats and dogs. She's been around children of all ages, that she's very playful, she's energetic, she's easy to handle, she has a tendency to be a lap cat, and she also just says that she's the best ever. She says that she loves strings, that she likes to cuddle. So Baloo has a lot of things going for her. What the owner is saying is a good reason why you should always read the personality profiles that we provide to you. Some people it's our requirement that you read them, but some people kind of skim over them and don't really pay attention. It's also good if you see the cat and she's a little shy in the shelter, read the profiles, because it gives you an indication of how they were in their previous home. Because again, the shelter is a scary place, and it takes some of them a while to adjust to living here. There's a lot of people coming by all the time. There's a lot of other animals, smells, noises, things that are just unfamiliar. And also they're not in the home that they've known most of their lives. And in Blue's case, she's only ever really lived with one other person for the majority of her life. So this is a big shakeup for her. So taking that time to read the profile and understand how she was in a comfortable home environment is going to be maybe a better indication of how she would be in your comfortable home environment. Blue, because she's an adult cat, would be adopted for our $97.50 adoption fee. We would make sure, again, that she's spayed before she goes home, that she's rabies vaccinated, that she gets her distemper vaccine, microchip, dewormer, flea and tick preventative, as well as that well visit to the vet. The last pet that we have on the show for you today is Mac, and unfortunately this is Mac's second stay with us. He was adopted in December of last year as about a 7-month-old kitten, and he spent several months, 8 months, with a family, and now he's back here at the shelter with us. Mac is polydactyl. Previously we had named him Toes because his front paws are basically all toes, and he's just a handsome orange tabby with white, and he's about 1.5 to 2 years old now. One of the things about Mac is he's very social. He likes to interact with people. The first owner that surrendered him to us said that he was good with kids of all ages. He'd been around cats and dogs, and that he liked to play. He liked dangly things and laser toys and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of great things about him. But now that he's back here with us, this go around, we've decided that Mac would be better suited to a home that has older children or adults only. And that's because Mac was declawed as an adult, so he was 8-9 months old when he got declawed, and we don't advocate that here because it is painful for the animals and it can change their behavior a little bit. Once they're older, they've learned how to walk on their feet as is, and when you declaw them, it totally changes the way that they walk, and it also takes away their primary defense mechanism. Because of that, like Jethro a few months ago, sometimes Mac can be a little bit nippy and bitey because he no longer has that way to defend himself. And when you declaw cats, sometimes they become a little bit more aggressive, hoping that you'll go away and leave them alone since they don't have that other way to protect themselves. So that's something that we have seen with Mac. But all of those instances were provoked, so we don't penalize those animals, but we just want to make sure he's going to go to a home where the kids are old enough to understand kind of cat body language and read what Mac is trying to say so that they don't get hurt and he doesn't get hurt, because that would be the best situations for everyone to be happy. So there's a lot of great things. We just want to make sure it is the right fit and that he's going to go to a home that understands kind of his special needs now that he's been declawed. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Pet Pals. We thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you'll watch us again next week when we introduce you to 10 more adoptable animals here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center.